I use my grandfather and his history, the history of my grandfather and my grandmother, as an example for something that is far bigger, far wider, that is important in our countries here in Europe, but also and especially in the global south. I mean, this agriculture is not only about producing milk or whatever, grain and other products. It's important to have our food, but agriculture does a lot of other things. Agriculture is multidimensional. Agriculture is also about producing and protecting beautiful landscapes. It's about making and protecting biodiversity or destroying it. It's about creating employment, and above all it's also offering people the chance to move forward, to go ahead, to improve their livelihood. Yeah? Or with more elegant wording, it offers people emancipatory prospects. Yeah, and that was the story I illustrated with my grandfather. But we should never forget this, that in a world in which there still is so much poverty and such a lack of employment, such a lack of attractive work, we should use agriculture, we should develop agriculture in such a way that, well, it offers people these possibilities. Yeah, that's an urgent task, and the worrying thing is that you see in hegemonic discourse that they reduce the discussion. Yeah, they only ask how can we produce as much food as cheap as possible. I mean, agriculture is far more, yeah? And we should talk about that as well. Farming can be done in many different ways. Yeah, or said in a little bit more theoretical way, the process of production can be molded, can be structured in contrasting ways. One of these ways is peasant agriculture. I'm not talking about peasant agriculture of the past, but about peasant agriculture of the 21st century. Yeah, but then there are contrasting modes of farming, like corporate farming or capitalist farming of very large scale, and also entrepreneurial farming, which is family farming, but at the same time it industrializes the process of production. Now, one of the reasons peasant farming remains to be very important for our societies is that it better meets a range of societal needs. Let me refer to a few. It uses less energy. So instead of heating the climate, it's helping to cool the climate. Also because it captures carbon, yeah, and returns it into the soil. Yeah, in this respect, peasant agriculture is very, very important for the world. It deals with sweet water. Sweet water is becoming very scarce, yeah, in many parts of the world. Peasant agriculture uses it in a far better way. And then there are other things. It's more gentle peasant farming. Yeah, there is more animal welfare. There is more diversity in the field. It's not just a monocrop, but it's you have different crops at different colors in the field. You have combinations of crops and animals, and then it is the work is more many-sided. The entrepreneur is just enclosed in his farm, repeating all the time the same task, but the peasant producer, he's working in the fields, he's working with his animals, he is building a new stable, he's going to the market, he is processing part of the products. Yeah, he converts the milk into cheese, into butter, into a range of other products. You could say, yes, there is less monotony in peasant farming. Instead, it's more joyful. especially the new peasant agriculture is far more joyful, and that's also the reason why young people opt for it. Yeah, that's an interesting phenomenon, and what I've seen from it, it especially is having a kind of social function. People in the cities, especially in the big cities, can become very lonesome. Yeah, these cities are atomized, are all individuals without any relations, they do not know each other, and the experience is that with these forms of urban farming, you create new meeting places, people work together, people discuss, people keep an eye on each other. Yeah, if something goes wrong, they help each other. Yeah, so I mean, urban farming, of course, can never feed the cities. Yeah, that would be ludicrous. But I think the important function is especially in its social, the social role of it, and of course, it can help to yeah, to enrich the diet, in those places where there is very little consumption of green. Yeah, where there are large areas of the towns where you do not have shops anymore with fresh vegetables. Yes, in those areas, as a supplement to the diet, this urban farming can. And then, of course, there is a kind of cultural, political, cultural aspect to it. It's nice, it's unexpected, it's reconquering parts of the city for new things that the authorities did not plan, did not authorize. But anyway, it's nice. Yeah, as some people call it, sometimes it's a kind of guerrilla gardening in the cities. It's nice to play with these metaphors. Yes, so yes, I like it. I think it's important. Yeah, in today's social movements, in today's social struggles, you have to be very keen that it's not only in the big things, but also the small things can contribute a lot, especially when they are repeated by many people. Yeah, then the sheer number makes these seemingly little activities into big drivers for change. Take for instance, yes, indeed, we are facing a global food system. Yeah, and you can feel powerless, but it's not true. I mean, the act of consumption, and therefore the act of acquiring food, is more important than ever. Yeah, and there everybody is having its choice. Where do I go? To the supermarket, buying meat produced in an industrial way, using soybeans from Brazil, yeah, which provoke cutting parts of the Amazon, or will I try to buy as much locally products from local producers, local peasants, yeah, that are producing in a gentle way. If this is done by growing numbers of people, yes, then this can help, and it is helping. You know that people in the big retail are increasingly very nervous because they see that the music is being played elsewhere. Yeah, increasingly people get a little bit annoyed with them, and yeah, people are looking for the alternatives, and even if it initially are small alternatives, yeah, these can be connected and made into a very important movement of critique and alternative. So don't don't consider yourself to be powerless or insignificant. No, everybody can matter. Yeah, it's indeed, it's our duty to be optimistic, because if we turn ourselves into pessimists, we already have lost the battle. And let's also be realistic, but this has been discussed, of course, many times in many places in the world during many episodes, and one of the great French philosophers, Ernst Bloch, was the German philosopher. He wrote a beautiful book with the title Das Prinzip Hoffnung, the principle of hope, the principle of expectation. It's our responsibility to keep hoping on a better world, because if not, hope and expectation very often has moved world history, has moved the world onwards. Yes, we have to be optimistic, we have to cherish our hope, we have to cherish the people who are experimenting, trying to develop new things, even if they are small, but very often in the small there is the nucleus of the alternative that later on will become far larger. In the end, that is what every peasant knows. It's part of peasant agriculture. You start with a very small seed, but then it might develop into a beautiful plant that gives you a very nice harvest. It's like that.